Spun. Right. JIGGY Tooblack. Today we're going to go in on the policy enforcers. I'm going to show you using their own statements how bad these guys are. Alright? So, yeah, I'll try and find one for you. So today we're gonna go into this one here. I think a name is, what's the name? Oh, you Nazis can suck my dick! Right, so we're gonna go into this one today. I say this is one of the people who are uniformed up, pretending to be serving the community, but they're not doing that. I wonder if you can see this clearly. It doesn't matter. Right, I'm just gonna go into their statements. So when I said I was going to show you the level of, I'm not sure whether it's corruption or ignorance of the law, but I believe it's both. For anyone who wanted to know my situation, this is what it is. So this is one of the, I think it's about 17 or so arrests over various issues, but stemming out of one issue, which ideally I should start from the beginning. But this was so funny, I just could not, I just jumped in. So this is one of the statements, but I'm going to show you the first statement from the first arresting officer at the beginning of my case, you see. So the first guy initially, which started everything. But this is one of the many. What I want to show today is the responsibilities of a so-called custody sergeant, what the work is, and what their role is. Right, we won't go into that now. I want to get to her role. Yeah, here it says. Paragraph 4. It was my responsibility to deal with new and existing prisoners within the cell area and ensure that their detention was properly authorized and reviewed and ensure the welfare of the detainee. So that's her role. Custody sergeant, that's their job, to make sure that any detention is properly authorized, and they have to review as well the authority, and also have to make sure that the detainee, so-called detainee, is taken care of, the welfare. Now, as a custody sergeant, it is my decision, right? She's taking full responsibility. It's her decision, because it's to do with law. She's a legal officer. It's her decision whether a subject who is arrested is detained or released. So it doesn't matter if the arresting officer brings you in. She's the barrier there, and she's going to decide whether or not the arrest is lawful, is authorized, and the rest of it. She's the barrier. Okay. So it's my decision as to whether a subject who is arrested is detained or released, whether they are detained, to keep that detention under review and record upon any change to that. This could include the subject being charged, number one, released pending a charging decision, number 2, or released without charge, depending on the circumstances, right? In such circumstances, I must decide whether a subject is kept for court or bailed with or without conditions, option 2, or simply released. So those are the 3 options she has. Now the ultimate decision on the detention of the subject is mine, and no one can override me on that. Very, very clear. If I'm not happy that a subject should be detained, then no amount of persuasion by an arresting officer or a superior officer will convince me otherwise. Which means she's accepted personal or individual liability for arresting people because she knows so much about the law. Now this is England we're talking about. We're not talking about Russia or China. 5 says the claimant, that'll be the guy arrested, me. This is when I'm suing them, by the way. So this is when I'm trying to sue these fools, and this is their defense statements. So I'm saying, I believe that you arrested me unlawfully on this day and you put me in a cell for so many hours. And I'm saying that you had no authority. So this is her response. Right? And yeah, blah, blah, blah. I came in and I cannot say whether the claimant was brought to me immediately upon arrival or whether he had to wait before being brought to me. However, in my experience, 15 minutes before arrival and authorization, detention is very quick. It's none of my business, obviously they are. I couldn't care less what they're doing, their policy enforcing stations. Couldn't care less. But the point is, my claim is somebody arrested me, they took me up there, and they kept me in a cell, they didn't have the proper authority, and I want them to accept liability. That's my argument, and nothing else to say about that. Now, the claimant had been arrested, here we go, in connection with a breach of a non-molestation order. Okay? The reason for the arrest would have been explained to me by the arresting officer. She doesn't know what she's talking about, right? When she's writing this statement. I had no previous knowledge of the allegation, right? Or any knowledge of the history between the claimant and the alleged victim. There was never any victim, because this molestation order disappeared. They tried to stitch me with a molestation order. Upon close inspection of the paperwork, I realized it says domestic molestation. So I asked them, excuse me, I live on my own. How is it domestic molestation? Who am I molesting? And this molestation allegation vanished as well as the rest of them. I have no previous blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we go. I would have had some information available on my computer screen that would have set out the breach of bail, right? So this is arrest for breach of bail of an order that doesn't exist. I was aware that the complainant in this matter was the same complainant. Oh, that's right. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So there's a complainant that doesn't exist of a non-molestation order, and has reported a breach of the order. Right. What I'm trying to get to is the lack. Oh, here we go. The lack of due process. Now, when I spoke to the claimant, I recall he came across as being educated. No one's educated. You're educated, not me. But he was obtrusive. I'm never obtrusive. I make conditional acceptances. While he was not aggressive in any way, the claimant did not want to assist me with any question that I put to him. And I recall he would regularly answer my questions with a question of his own. That's how I deal with police enforcers. Because I have no obligation to assist a public servant in his job. You do your own job. Why are you questioning me? Why don't you go and do your job? You have your own intelligence. So I don't answer questions from public servants. I don't answer to my servants. Get that through your head. Asking me questions. Well, the claimant had a file or a large amount of paperwork with him, and I recall that he gave me something to read. Now this is a custody sergeant, someone who's legally trained. You bring him into your station, and I'm coming in with my paperwork, which identifies who I am and my terms of doing business with you. And you're saying to me that this is a file or a large amount of paperwork with him, and I recall that he gave me something to read? What was this something, you fool? I do not recall exactly what it was that he gave to me. I mean, how stupid can you be? Oh, how stupid can you be? This is your job. Where are we? She said it right here. It's my decision whether or not a subject is arrested, detained, or released. So if I come to you with my documents to say who I am, and you're saying to me that you don't know what I've given you exactly, other than it was some form of document that he had appeared to have created himself. Of course I created myself, you fool. Look, it's my document identifying who I am. I created it myself. This is a this this I'm sorry. This is I am a police sergeant with West Yorkshire Police, and I joined the force in 2003. You've been there long enough. You even had a promotion in 2007. For crying out loud. And you don't know a legal document when it's handed to you by a man, a living man. And you say that the document appears to have been created by himself. The claimant was stating that he was serving me with a copy of that paperwork. Of course I'm serving you. I'm serving you a legal document, you fool. I took the paperwork from him and placed it in a tray for the chief superintendent. So this moron, this idiot here, who has the power to check whether or not a detention is lawful, right, has accepted service of a legal document that she has not bothered to read. Instead, I took the paperwork from him and placed it in a tray for the chief superintendent. Okay? So these are this is what we're talking about now. So these are the people who are imprisoning you and your children and depriving you of your rights. This is a legal officer who has no knowledge of legal matters. And this is a superior. This is not the one who drives the van. This is the one who stands behind the counter and taps on the computer keys. You see, so this is the one who's supposed to be the more intelligent one. So the claimant asked the powers I was acting under in order to detain him. So this is a very straightforward question. When you're arrested by your Article 5 rights, you have the right to be informed of the grounds by which you're being arrested. This is basic. This is rudimentary. You have to tell me the powers under which you're arresting me to start with. Okay, so she's carried on anyway about, I've explained to him that he was arrested on suspicion. This is suspicion, right? So it's two things here. There's suspicion of breaching an order. So it's not a breach of an order, not an order exists, it's a suspicion of breaching an order. In that the detention is necessary to prevent his disappearance. Disappearance? I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to kick your ass and give you a hard time. Disappearance, my ass. There's no disappearance. And to allow for the prompt and effective investigation into the allegation. So now you're going to investigate whether the suspicion that non-molestation order has been breached. Good luck. He also claimed common law jurisdiction, right? He also claimed common law jurisdiction. I did not know, nor do I know, what the claimant was on about when he said this. Okay, so this is your policy enforcer. This is your legal officer, right? Who derives their power. And they take an oath to defend the common law of the land, known as England and Wales, and to defend the Queen and the Crown. And she has never heard of something called common law. She's not aware that England is common law jurisdiction. I did not know, nor do I know, what the claimant was all about when he said this. Right? Now this is the someone who is detaining people, who has promotions and all this other crap. Some badges, some numbers, right? Okay. It is my decision as to whether a subject is arrested, is detained, or released, and where they're detained, to keep their detention under review. So one of the good things to review is under what authority you're arresting people. Is it statutory or is it common law? Because it's different, you stupid little girl. So when you arrest me on a matter, and I'm saying to you, for this particular matter, I'd like this matter dealt with under the common law of the land, known as England and Wales, and you're saying to me, you don't know what I'm talking about, then I don't know what to say to you. I cannot argue with you. I recall the booking in process took some time due to the claimant repeatedly asking questions of me and refusing to answer my questions. My only question is this: by what authority and under what law are you detaining me? How have you come to my house, pick me up, to put me in a cell over some ridiculous allegation? That's all I want to know. And I'm not going to answer any of your questions until you tell me that. So you are assisted in the process by detention officer, whoever, who has filled in a medical questions on blah, blah, blah. The claimant has refused to answer any of these questions. That's how I deal with these policy enforcers. Because before we get into over huddle one, I'm not going to answer any of your questions. My first question is, number one, what is your name? Constable, good. Your name is John Smith, cool. Number two is, are you acting under oath right now? Yes or no? I'd like to claim common law jurisdiction or whatever jurisdiction I want for that particular matter. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then I'm not going to answer any more of your questions because you don't know what I'm talking about. And we can never come to an agreement of minds. There's never going to be a contract. That is why I don't answer your questions, because I don't know who you are. So she's carried on and filed in her risk assessment and the care plan, blah, blah, blah. I have clearly noted that the claimant refuses to answer any questions and that he's very calm and compliant. Of course I'm calm and compliant. I don't mess with these people. I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. You have no right to bring me here. I'm not going to argue with you. I've asked you whether you know anything about law, and it's clear you don't know, so we have nothing to talk about. If you've never heard of something called common law and you're a custody sergeant detaining children, 16-year-old kids, 19-year-old kids, daily as well, in their thousands, and you've never ever heard what common law, there's something seriously wrong in this plane. Right, I have therefore completed the care plan based upon my observations of the claimant, being that he is what? He is calm and compliant. And from details recorded on previous custody records, I have noted he is refusing to sign anything. I don't sign anything from my servants. Are you kidding me? The only thing I sign is acceptance for values. You're going to make a servant sign something. I'm going to sign something once you've identified who you are, under what law and by what authority you're acting, you see. Then I'm going to sign your paperwork. But you too, you also have to sign the same paperwork. Right, here we go. Now, from previous risk assessment, I have noted that the claimant has a marker for previously banging his head against the cell wall and a marker for depression. Here we go. Right? So I'm not going to get into this one, but we all know that some people go into these police cells and depending on their conduct, somehow they happen to fall down the stairs, you know, and just break their heads in half. Okay? Or you just happen to hang yourselves in there because you're depressed in these police cells, you see. So previously you just bang your head against the cell wall until you die. So this is what happens in some of these cells, but we're not going to get into that today. So the claimant, I will have asked the claimant about this, but he has refused to answer. And therefore, I am unable to gauge whether the previous information is still applicable. Although, even if the claimant had said it was not, I would still have to balance that against the information on the system. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so now these people have taken someone from his house where he was comfortable, taken him into a cell, and now they're organizing a care plan, right, in order to maintain his welfare. I have decided that he should be placed in a camera cell so that he can be kept under observation, right? So this is someone who's been calm and compliant. He's going to be kept in a camera cell, and he's going to be observed every 30 minutes for the next, I don't know how many hours they had me in there that day. But this is the hassle that we go through. So when some of these bitches who've never been through this shit, when you talk your crap behind people's back, and you have no idea how we deal with these fuckers, you shouldn't be making those comments. Anyway, we carry on. Now, the plan was one of the highest levels of watch available, and was done to ensure the claimant was safe and did not come to any harm whilst in custody. Right? How is that possible? How is it possible that you can go and get somebody who's in their own home, take them to a cell, agitate them, and then watch them for every 30 minutes to make sure that no harm comes to them? And this is being done not under the common law. It's being done under some unknown law that you run by yourself, that you won't identify. Now here's a weird one. Now I don't need solicitors. I don't use solicitors, but somehow it came through that I called a solicitor. The claimant's rights are given to him. You see? So the claimant's rights are given to him. I didn't ask for them. They were given to me. I never stated I wanted a solicitor. He's solicitor. I don't know any Jason Peter. I don't know anyone like that. This is lies, make believe. I've never had a solicitor called a Jason Peter notified of my arrest. Why wasn't my solicitor notified of my arrest here when I was asking you who you are and being obtrusive? So after they couldn't figure out what the hell to do with this one, they thought, oh, right, they can't just let him go. We have to figure something out. So somehow there was a solicitor involved, and somehow he's the one who negotiated my release, apparently. Once that call came to an end, the claimant was taken to the camera cell. I thought the claimant was there already in the camera cell. Who knows? Who cares? Right, we gotta get through this thing somehow. Oh, here we go. It's gonna come to an end. Here we are. What is this? Once there was a non-molestation order in place, I had to consider the protection of the complainant, and whether there would be a need for any bail conditions. I would not consider this if he was not arrested. That doesn't make sense to me, but maybe it might make sense to somebody else. I don't know. The claimant's demeanor also suggested to me that he would not have cooperated with any attempts by the police enforcers to undertake a voluntary interview or deal with him in any way short of an arrest or detention. That's bogus. That's very bogus. You don't... Okay, this is the point. When you come to my house, you're a police enforcer, and you're asking me questions, I'm not going to answer you. You take me down to the station and you ask me questions, it's not going to make a difference. I'm still not going to answer you. So it doesn't matter where you take me. I'm not dealing with you like that. You can enforce your policies on me. I don't know who I am. So keep it moving. Right, let's get over this. Blah, blah, blah. The rest is nonsense. Yeah, so that was this Ledbetter, whatever name is Dick Bitter. That's the one. So this is one of the corporate police enforcers who are in your neighborhood pretending to be protecting your people, but these are the people who are destroying your community because they are pretending to be what they are not. If you're going to be a legal officer, you are required by law to know something to do with legal matters. For instance, when somebody serves you a legal document, the first thing you do is to read it, because that's your job, to make sure that the detention is lawful. If you don't do that, then you're being neglectful of your job. You see, you can't take it and I took the paperwork from him and placed it in a tray for the chief superintendent. How about you? Because here, if I'm not happy that a subject should be detained, then no amount of persuasion by the arresting officer or superior officer will convince me otherwise. So you're going to bear ultimate decision. Okay? So Ledbetter, I'm suing you. You see, you're going to take liability personally for what you did. I can't remember how many hours you put me in a cell, but I'll try and remember. And then yeah, you're going to have to come to court and to prove that you know what you're doing, and that you have the power and the right, the legal right to arrest people and put them in cells, right? And that everything you do is within the law. And that's Article 5, because that's not been repealed yet. If you want to talk statutory law, Article 5 is still not repealed. And if you want to talk about the common law, which you never heard about, then no one can be detained unless they've gone through trial by the King's Court. You're not the King's Court, you see. How can you detain a man? You're not the King's Court. So if you never heard of the common law, and you are a policy enforcer, and you're arresting and detaining people, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but you are in the wrong. So please, make it right. Okay? So take it Tooblack.
JIGGY coming from the police. This cooking cops, that's why they get shot off a minute. If you a criminal and you ain't a represent, kid, that's how I like it, what is fun. But here we blind, I see you, so now I'm dead. But so much is cool, all the brothers in the hood. I got fam that's not to understand, I wish they would. But it's all good, we still my niggas locked in jail. Push it, kid, we can't go get through it. Keep your heads up and keep it real. 'Cause you know I'm gonna. And for my niggas do
6 months. I'll see your ass next summer. Woo. Fuck the police, yo. Ha. Yeah.